9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Yes, thanks to the finger. You see the fingers. Not for Roman anymore. I am Shay Sawyer, and I'm here with, I gotta make sure I do it this way because I always think it's the other way. I'm here with Lyric. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
That's what I like to hear, yes. So, how was your week? It's been a lot of wrestling going on. Let me just, pick your brain a bit.
It's been a lot of wrestling going on. I've enjoyed all of it, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it. There's some cool stuff happening this weekend, and we have a great Ring of Honor, Rampage card, Dominion this weekend for my New Japan fans. So it's a good weekend. And Spider-Man comes out. Like, that's awesome. Like, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, definitely. I pop for the Marvel stuff because,
Absolutely. And this is the Miles Morales film, so it's like even better. I'm just really excited about it. Can't shut up about it. It's gonna be a great time.
That's totally understandable. Oh, hey, let's say hi. Hey, Cool Gamer, how are you? Thank you for joining us this week again. Hope you're well. Hello, Blackfist. How are you today? Let's see.
Hello.
Hey. How are you? All right, so this episode is the close-up for Janai Kai. We've been basically going over the older episodes because we're still waiting for new episodes to come out as the season just ended recently. So this is our next episode in our journey. What were your thoughts, like your initial right away thoughts when you watched it?
So it was really cool. I will say, like, some of the close-ups are wrestlers that I am more familiar with, like Trish Adora, like Queen Aminata. I wasn't as familiar with Janai Kai, so this was very interesting to get to know. So I really enjoyed it. I like the format of, jumping between the match highlights as well as the personal interviews. I think it was a really cool, fun way to get to know talent.
I definitely love that. And I would love to see more things similar to that on different, promotions for sure. Like, I think it's great to, educate your audience on, your talent. The more we know, the better. The more connected we are to the wrestler, the more connected we are to the product.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this week we have this, and next week I think we do have, as you said, Queen Aminata. I'm excited for that one.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, she is just.
I love her.
She's fantastic. So let's jump into it. So right away we start with Alyssa Marino. Love her. And she's kind of just talking with Janai, kind of picking her brain. The first thing she asks is how she is doing, and she says that she's tired and sore. And with the way that Janai wrestles, I kind of understand why she would respond with tired and sore. I would be tired and sore every day.
Absolutely.
Honestly. So then we had let me see here. Alyssa then kind of speaks on the fact that Janai was a part of the first set of tapings for The Journey Begins against Nicole Savoy. Let me put up these. I love that top photo. Oh my gosh, like that's such a hit maker photo. Okay,
very much so.
So they talk about that, and she kind of said her journey continued when she challenged Holidead to a match for her Mission Pro Championship in the Warrior Wrestling Partnership for the Fan Fest in Chicago. What are your thoughts on Holidead? Are you a fan? Have you seen any of her matches?
Yes, actually the last time I was on this show, we reviewed like a Holiday match, and I was like, whoa, Holiday is the real deal. So I really did enjoy I enjoy every time I get to see Holiday, honestly. And so I know that they referenced that was one of the moments that Janai came up short. But I mean, hey, if there's ever a person to take a L to, Holiday is one of them. So
no, I definitely agree with that. I think from like the first match, I became a Holiday fan. And that's the thing that I really love about Women's Wrestling Army is how it opened me up to new talent. Like I wasn't so familiar in knowing of Holiday, and now I'm just so like a huge fan. So I really appreciate this product for that. Let's see here. So Alyssa asked, what kind of pressure did this add to the matchup? And Janai basically said she did not expect a championship opportunity to be the next match she has after her first match with Nicole Savoy. But she said that mentally she was ready for it and says she needed more of a challenge, something to fight for. Says she hadn't held a title for a while. So she felt it was exactly what she needed to kind of get her mind in the right place. I like that response. It makes sense. And it kind of is on par with who Janai is. Yeah. I'm sorry?
I just say absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let me see here. Alyssa then asked, how did this match sharpen her as a competitor? Janai's response was, it sharpened her a lot because you really don't get competitors like Holiday. I was like this, shaking my head ferociously when she said that.
Absolutely.
And she said that a lot of kicks happened in the match, but Holiday is incredible and just stayed up. Says she had to do the most with Holiday, and it was a huge challenge, but it definitely got a lot of out of her that she needed to get out of her, and she appreciates Holiday for the opportunity as well. Before we get into the match itself, how do you feel about her responses, like to Alyssa Marino's questions?
I really enjoy when wrestlers can acknowledge value in matches, even if they don't get the win. Like I feel like me personally, I'm always drawn to talent who can critique themselves, who genuinely like, even if they're not going to win a championship tomorrow, or even if they're not going to get these big wins tomorrow, like I think that you can tell what separates the good from the great is the ones who just saying like, I just want to be in the ring with the best. I just want to get better. I just want to grow. Like, I believe that I'll become a champion one day later, but like right now, like I want to grow, and I can only grow and get better and be the best by facing some of the best names in the world. So I always appreciate like that self-awareness when certain wrestlers have it. Cause I think especially like a lot of times we get so hung up on wins and losses and be like, oh, my fave lost, they're getting buried. They're buried and they're at the bottom of the card forever. And it's time for you to jump ship and go to a whole new company. And so I appreciate the self-aware.
You were letting off trauma over there. I know you got some stories.
Yeah, that came from a very deep place internally. A very real place.
Oh man, especially when you're on Twitter. That is the place for it.
Absolutely.
You will see it there.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we're gonna hop into this match. I'm just kind of gonna touch on some of because they kind of skip through it. They kind of showed like the more key points of the match. So I'll just kind of talk about some of the key points. And I'll ask you, what your thoughts were on, some of it. Cause I mean, it was a pretty good match. They picked some great matches to kind of go back and take a look at for sure. Let's see. So Holiday versus Janai Kai for the Mission Pro Championship at let me see again. This is at the Warrior Wrestling Partnership Fan Fest in Chicago. I just want to make sure I put that out there. So right away, starting the match, they lock up, but Holiday pushes Janai into the ropes. Janai comes back with a high kick, though. That's one thing you always have to watch out with Janai. Like, watch some feet.
Watch those feet. Reminds me a lot like Speedball Bailey. Just you got to watch those feet.
I'm sorry, I can't laugh. Watch those feet.
Watch those feet.
Serious. All right, so they both go for attacks, but both thwart each other's attempts easily, leading to a crowd applause. We always love when the crowd is, invested. Let me skip over here. Take a look. Oh, this one. They both start hammering each other until Holiday pulls Janai's legs from under her, and they're both on the ground swinging at each other. I mean, they were fighting. Battle. Janai goes for a kick on the apron, but Holiday catches her foot and sweeps it from under her, which causes her to land on her head, as you can see in the top left photo. If I know my sides right. Holiday goes for a leg drop on the apron, but Janai moves, then hits 2 big kicks to the chest of Holiday. After that, Janai continues kicking, but Holiday returns with a double palm strike. Janai then returns with a kick to the chest, then a clothesline. Janai then sweeps Holiday's feet from under her and then rolls into another kick to the chest. Them feet. What were your thoughts so far on like the kind of beginning clips we were getting from that match?
I think that's where we start to see like Janai is trying to figure out how to overcome that size differential, and just like obviously like Holiday is a great competitor. She's strong. She's tough. There's obviously a size difference there, and so like to be quite frank, at first she's really whooping Janai's ass, and so she has to figure out, okay, I'm not going to beat her in the strength game. So what can I do as far as my speed, my agility, my quickness, like, my kicks? How do I neutralize essentially that strength component? Because if she picks me up and throws me out of nowhere, I'm done. So like, how do I neutralize that strength? So I think that's what we're seeing here.
I definitely can agree with that. And I do notice a lot of times Janai does get opponents who are kind of outsize her, and yet somehow she is still not the underdog in some way. She's just not. I don't ever see her as an underdog, but she does get people who are, much more powerhouses. I noticed that. But she handles it well. So shout out to you, girl. Back into the action. Janai hits a forearm in the corner and then a kick to the throat. Oh my God. When she does that move, like, I'm wearing a neck brace when I go in a match with her. If my neck is broken, she was not going to get me like that. I'm sorry.
Not.
No. No, not today or tomorrow. Okay. The next clip shows Holiday driving Janai into the corner, but Janai then kicks Holiday's knee to the ground. Her and Janai then hit. Janai hits chaos kicks on her. Then a big kick to the head for a near fall at that point. You see at the bottom right there. That's a painful kick. It looks painful.
It looks painful. I was just about to say.
It's like I wasn't there for. I didn't receive it, but I'm pretty sure it hurt.
I felt it. Willow felt it. We all felt it. I felt it.
I'm an empath. I felt it. Not kidding. Janai goes for Holiday's arms, but Holiday fights back and does a dead drop. I love her dead drop. Holiday hits a clothesline in the corner, followed up with a kick to the face, leading to a spine buster for another near fall. Holiday went for a move, but Janai reverses, then drives her elbow into Holiday's throat for a pin attempt. And then we have Janai that goes for the tornado kick, but Holiday dodges, then hits Darkness Falls for the win. Holiday wins. What were your thoughts on the ending sequence and then just the match in general?
Love the ending sequence. Obviously, Holiday gets the win, but I still feel like Janai looks strong, which is very important, especially when you have like a challenger who might not be ready for championship gold right then, but you still want to make them look legitimate down the line. And I like the match overall. Obviously, we only got to see like clips here, but I'd definitely be interested in going back and watching the full thing.
Definitely agree with that. That's definitely has watch back value for sure. Yeah. All right, back into Alyssa and Janai sitting. They're talking. Alyssa asks, "How did Janai retain focus in the throes of competition like that?" her response was, after a match like that, she reflected back to see how her performance actually was. She liked to critique herself. Each time she has a match in general, she likes to grow from that. She says it felt good to get recognition for her work, and even a handshake from Holodead was great. How do you feel about her response?
I think that goes back to what I had said earlier. I think that I love self-awareness. Like I really do love self-awareness. And so yeah, I was here for that response.
Sure. No, I definitely agree with that. Alyssa then goes on to ask, how did she prepare herself for this first time matchup with Gia Scott, the greatest damn woman? I love Gia Scott. I'm not an account, but I am a Gia Scott stan account.
Stan account.
So she said she knows Gia as a fighter. She knew she had the speed, but it's about thinking techniques wise, how she's gonna approach each match differently.
Yep.
So now we move into the greatest damn woman versus the kick demon. This photo here, greatest damn woman. So right away they lock up, and Gia instantly tosses Janai like nothing in the top left photo.
Mm-hmm.
So we already saw what time it was right there.
This match got real violent real fast.
Very much so. Janai hits a snap suplex, then gives multiple kicks to Gia's spine. And Janai, like from all the people I've seen when they deliver those type of kicks, I gotta say she's got to be top 3 with the delivery.
Yeah.
My back, like I need that, because I have scoliosis. So she could just like,
Me too. Yes.
Scully sisters.
Please get back into shape, please. Knock the curve out.
Knock the curve out. I can't. All right, so
sorry.
So after the kicks, she floats over, looking for a face kick, but Gia ducks and catches her leg, then hits a sit-out spine buster. Loved it. Janai works Gia's midsection on the corner in the next clip, but Gia moves when she attempts a kick and then kicks Janai's legs from under her. This is where she starts wrenching Kai's legs onto the rope. As you can see in the bottom left photo, she started working that leg. Who is it? Hello, Roderick. How are you today? We're here with our official newest co-host, Lyric. Hello. And so after that, the wrenching of the leg, I guess, you know what? That was a pretty smart idea from Gia. Like, if you're going to go for any body part with Janai Kai, definitely the legs.
Absolutely.
Smart.
Neutralize those feet.
Exactly. Neutralize those feet. I like that.
That should be on a t-shirt.
Yes. That's what my first thought was. You know what? Neutralize those feet.
Neutralize those feet.
Oh my goodness. So let me go back here. Kai, then in the next clip, we have Kai flying off the ropes and catches Gia with a clothesline, then sweeps Gia's legs from under her, leading to a penalty kick to the face. Not fun. Janai hits Gia in the jaw, then returns with a kick to the throat. This hits Gia hits Janai with a multiple elbows, and then a big boot to the face, and then followed by a DDT for a near fall. After that, Janai drives her elbow into Gia's throat for a near fall again. Janai gets Gia in a dragon sleeper, but Gia keeps fighting, hitting a snapmare on Janai. Gia hits a TKO for a pin attempt, doesn't work out, and then Gia goes for the Rain of Diamonds, but Janai scouts it, catches her, sweeps her legs from under her. Followed by that is the tornado kick for the win. We have Janai Kai as a winner. What were your thoughts on this matchup?
I felt like it was fast, straight to the point, but very brutal, which I like. I love intensity, and I like that fighting spirit, which I think that Gia really has. Yeah, and I like aggression. So I feel like this match had all of the things in a succinct amount of time, tied up with a nice little bow.
And that's that. Gia is someone like watching this. Like I've been such a fan of Gia. Like the more I watch her stuff in Women's Wrestling Army, and I definitely am hoping for the next season that we see a little bit more with her, because I feel like we got here and there matches with her. We didn't get a lot of matches with her, so I'm hoping moving into the next season we do see more of her, because I do think she has so much to offer.
I agree.
You get it. You get it. All right. So before we move on to the kind of ending half of this, I do want to play a commercial really quick. So if you guys have a second, let's put this on.
Hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching, because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw post-show, WoW post-show, AEW Dynamite post-show, Women's Wrestling Army post-show, NXT post-show, Impact Wrestling post-show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live post-show, On the Scroll, ROH post-show, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Even the person with the green bubble gets me every time.
That gets me every time, because it would never be me, but there's always somebody who's going to do it. There's always somebody that's going to do it.
It would never be me. I'm screaming.
Yeah.
All right, back into it. After that match, we have Alyssa Marino again asking Janai what was going through her mind to keep fighting through that pain, because Gia was definitely dishing it out in that match. Janai's response was, "The half crab is not fun." That was her first line. I could imagine. Everything lower body wise, it's like she can't tolerate that, which is understandable, because that's where most of her repertoire. I had to say it again.
Repertoire.
That's where it comes from. And so she says she needs her lower body for her moveset. Said she couldn't quit, and her streak was running through her mind. Her first, that was her first Women's Wrestling Army win also. So it was very important to her. A great match to be your first win also. What were your kind of thoughts on her responses to Alyssa?
I think she handled it as best as she could. I mean, obviously, like we said, going after her legs is going to be huge, and that's an easy way to feel, especially for somebody like her, when her moveset depends so highly on those kicks. It's easy to feel defeated if you know those parts of your arsenal have been like worn down, but she proved that she's a fighter and that she's, committed to win, no matter what, and really pushing through that pain. And I think that's one of those things that separates the good from the great, as I like to say.
Yes. I agree. Alyssa then asked, how did the realization of her winning her first match feel after the fact? She responded with saying she knew she had the strength to completely follow through, especially with people like, Gia and Holiday, who she sees as powerhouses. Says it was good, but she felt something was missing, like she had more to prove. And this was just one win. Chill out, as she said. She said, chill out. Let's keep pushing through. And I think that's kind of like something you touched on, basically saying like she's someone who can critique herself, but still also say, okay, you got to win. Let's get another one. I appreciate that. What do you think about like her response to just being like, I'm not going to get happy about it. I'm just going to keep going.
I think that is the mentality of a future champion.
He spoke real. So Alyssa asked if Janai compared her record to Queen Aminata before their matchup, because obviously Queen Aminata had a very different start. It was very dominant from the very beginning in Women's Wrestling Army. And she said it did in some ways, but said it's something to help strengthen her mindset. Said she couldn't just celebrate after her win. She had to keep focusing. Only time they had encountered each other prior to this match was in a multi-person match at Battle Slam Vendetta months prior. So I was excited to see this matchup. I think that they both are ridiculously talented and one of the hardest strikers in the business in general. Like,
absolutely.
Yes. I can't. I literally feel the strikes when I watch them wrestle. Like,
yeah, Queen Aminata is one of my faves, like, especially indie wrestlers. And it reminds me of like when I was talking to Jada Stone about the match that she had with her, and she was like, I had never wrestled anybody who hit that hard before. But you know, you just see like how that Japan training comes out of Aminata at times like that. Like, she really is one of the hardest hitters in the game, and Janai's kicks are going to meet her. And it's just, yeah, it's just a mess. A beautiful pro wrestling violent mess.
aren't those the best messes?
Amen.
The amen. All right, so now let's jump into the match. Janai Kai versus Queen Aminata. Starting off right away, Janai gets Queen in a headlock to start. Janai then hits a waist lock, which Queen gets out of, reverses into her own wrist lock, but Janai rolls through, and they basically go back and forth with the wrist lock exchanges until Queen eventually they figure it out. Janai then slams Queen into the mat twice. Ouch. Queen hits on an open palm strike in the corner. Janai returns her own open palm strike. They trade back a little bit until Queen slaps she slaps so much important information from her mind. I'm sure. I'm so sure of it.
Mine went blank. You know that episode of SpongeBob when he dumps out all that information to learn about fine dining? And he can't remember his name, and somebody says, "What's your name?" My name. My name. Yeah, all the little SpongeBobs running around like there's no information in the brain, and they can't even find anything.
That was an interesting episode. SpongeBob, wow, what a great show!
Yeah, I that was literally the show of my childhood. I am ashamed of how much I still watch SpongeBob to this day.
There's no shame. That's universal. That's universally loved. Okay, that's how we all learned. Okay,
absolutely.
We got a curse from SpongeBob. I'm kidding.
For friends who do stuff together, it's for you and me, and it's for anything and anytime at all. I hear in the deep blue sea.
Wholesome.
Very.
Back into the action. Okay, we're so silly. Back into the action. Queen, after she hits the open palm strike in the corner and slaps everything out of Janai, we get into the next clip where Queen hits a snapmare out of the corner into a headlock on Janai. Queen then hits a neck breaker, then drives her foot into Kai's back, which Kai is completely unfazed from. As you can see, literally she's scratching her head in the top right corner. She's like, I know this girl didn't just kick me.
She was trying to remember her name.
She was still trying to recover from that slap. But then Janai gets up and returns the kick, which sends Queen into a world of pain. As you can tell in the bottom left corner.
This was not pretty.
No, you don't want to trade kicks with Janai Kai. I wouldn't recommend it personally.
Mm-mm. Get somebody else to do it.
Get somebody else
to do it.
Yes, exactly that. Even if it's Queen Aminata, even if, I still would not accept it. I would not.
Somebody else to do it. Mm-mm.
Kai gives multiple kicks to the chest of Queen. Queen hits a headbutt, but Kai catches another kick on her. They both knock each other out, which obviously results in the crowd giving them respect for the match they had been putting on so far, as they should. After that, we have Janai slamming Queen on the mat for a near fall. After that, Janai hits the chaos kicks, but Queen gets her in a front slam, then applies the juicy lock, but Janai gets the ropes eventually. Queen hits a lightning spiral, then goes to the top rope for a double stomp for a near fall. After that, Janai sidesteps Queen and hits a tornado kick for the win. Janai Kai is the winner. What were your thoughts on this match from the clips that we got to watch?
That finish came out of nowhere. And I remember I was like, wait, it's over? The finish came out of nowhere because I felt like they hit a groove, but it's those kicks, man. Literally, if you get caught with one, you're done. Literally, and that's exactly what happened. I wasn't expecting it, but hey, you get caught with one of those kicks, it's over for you.
Ain't that the truth? When me and Aisha initially watched this, we both thought that Queen Aminata was going to win. I did
too. I too thought so.
I think it was a mixture of just how the match was panning out, and also just based off of how the win-loss record. Even though it's you shouldn't put too much thought on that, but it's just Queen was on such a roll, and Janai was kind of here and there with her win, so it just we were just that. A lot of things played into why I felt like Queen was going to get this, so I was very shocked. And as you said, it happened out of nowhere at the ending. I didn't expect it to end like that or that quickly. I felt like there was still some more, so I would love to see them run it back again.
Absolutely.
So we go back to Alyssa Marino with Janai, and she asked what her take was on the experience from that match. Her response was it was very similar to kind of what Queen Aminata had said when she was on, I think it was Best of the Bells. And she basically said it was, she felt like it was a lot that was let out. Hearing how the crowd responded was unexpected, says she's appreciative that the crowd was feeling it. And she also says, I'm looking back at this match because it means she's doing something right in her journey. I can't argue with that. How do you feel about her responses?
Very humble, very humble. I feel like this is a great responses for this point in her career. But as time progresses, and obviously as she continues to show off this incredible talent, I would like to see more, confident energy. Not just, hey, I'm just happy to be here, happy to learn. Nah, I'll kick your head off. I'm better than you. And all that. I like that type of energy. I feel like, especially once you've earned it. And so I feel like this is great for now. But down the line, I'm gonna need to see a little bit more. Yes, I kicked her head off. I knew I was gonna kick her head off. And what? Period.
That. Alyssa then asked, how does hearing feedback like that continue to motivate her as a competitor? Her responses were, she says she's gotten so much criticism for the 5 years that she's been in the business. Says she gets a lot of comments about people not liking her type of hard-hitting matches. Her responses also were, women's wrestling can go hard as well. If you're uncomfortable, good. She also says, this is how it is for real. Get used to it. What are your responses to that?
She just echoed my sentiments. I am a firm believer of I don't like soft women's wrestling at all. It doesn't do anything for me, and I don't think it does anything to advance. I feel like we don't do anything to advance women's wrestling when we try to dilute it to make it more palatable for people who are determined to misunderstand it in the first place. And so I love hard-hitting women's matches. I in my spare time, I watch Aja Kong versus Manami Toyota and Akira Hakuto. People literally, it looks like they're trying to kill each other. And that's my type of party. Premeditated murder does not murder. in real life, like the not actual, please don't actually kill each other. Like, but like in that ring, I live for, I think, hard hitting women's wrestling, and it's accepted in other places. I just think that here in America, we're slower on the uptake. We're getting there, slowly but surely. But I think a lot of times, like, people just haven't seen women be that aggressive in matches, and so you have to basically, how do I say it? You have to retrain a lot of wrestling fans to understand that just because they've only seen one way doesn't mean that was exactly the right way. So we're doing a lot of unlearning and relearning. And I think that Janai's comments kind of just go with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's such a great way to say it, because I do think like this whole era, everything coming up is just us relearning and accepting something different than what we were told we were supposed to like.
Absolutely. And that's not just women's wrestling, like that's just all wrestling. Like I feel like all of us have had to go through that unpack. Well, some of us have gone through that unpacking and just like, okay, yes, this is what wrestling was like growing up. But now that I know better, and I know that there's so many different styles and promotions and like countries and people, I feel like when you know better, you do better. And so, yeah.
You spoke real. I like that. Okay, so now we're almost at the end, but now we have the Women's Wrestling Army roster superlatives. So last week, when I did the solo show, I answered these superlatives, but instead I said it for people within Women's Wrestling Talk. So I was gonna bother you now with this, see what your responses would be. So the first question was the person that's most likely to stay up late partying, and Janai's response was Maserati, because she walks around with a blanket, a snuggie. What would you say someone from Women's Wrestling Talk is most likely to stay up partying?
I just got here, so I don't know everybody that well, but I would say probably have to be one of the salt shakers. Like, I would have to go with one of them.
You know what? You might be on something. The next one was most likely to believe they can fix something. Her response was Holla Dead. Says she's the locker room vet. What would be your response?
Somebody who always thinks they can fix something. I don't know, because I haven't really had a problem that I need somebody to fix. I would have to say maybe TK, like, because whenever I have questions, I go to her. So that's probably my answer.
I think that's a good one, actually. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The next one was most likely to have snacks on hand at all times. She said Trisha Dora, which was funny because last week Trisha Dora also said herself. So who would you say if you could think of anyone?
Me.
Real.
Yeah.
That's real. Most likely to chat someone's ear off. She said Brooke Valentine, in a good way, parentheses. Who would you say?
Oh, who can talk? I would say you, like you in a good way, like literally, like you have a very like welcoming like type of personality to where like, oh, I feel like I can talk to you. Like, you just, yeah, you have a very welcoming personality. So I'll say you.
You know what? I'm going to take that. Thank you. The next one was who is the most glued to their phone? She said herself because she's always making TikToks. Who would you say?
Who's always online? Me? Well, no, I'm not. Never, I can't do that to myself again. Who's always online? I would say one of the salt shakers again, probably.
I can see that.
Yeah.
For sure. And the last one, most likely to be a superhero in disguise. She said Gia Scott. Who would you say?
I would definitely say Aisha. I think she gives like strong like undercovers like vibes as far as like, yeah, like I could have like a whole different superhero life and y'all wouldn't even know it. And that's like in the coolest way possible because I love superheroes. Like I'm obsessed. So yeah, I'd go with her.
I totally could see that. Just because like she almost like eerily picks up things so quickly. It's like, what superpower do you have? Stop lying. You know? That's how I feel. I definitely could agree with that. So before they go out, they say the next time that you'll see Janai is for Anywhere You Land, when she has a triple threat with Masha Slamovich versus Jordan Blade versus Janai Kai. And Janai says she's very familiar with both. And she's going to do some brainstorming to make sure that she picks up the win. Were you able to catch that match yet?
Not yet. So
good.
Can't wait.
So good. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of the Women's Wrestling Army After Show. I am Shay Sawyer. This is Lyric. Where can we find you, Lyric?
You can find me on Twitter at Lyric Wrestling.
I just love it, straight to the point. And you can find me in an hour here for NXT. Yes, I will be yelling. There is a lot to yell about. All right, guys. See you next week where we will have the whole gang back together and then we will bother Aisha with these questions.
Woo!
The superlatives. All right. Have a good day and, don't do anything I wouldn't.
Women's Wrestling Talk. The #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk. The #1 women's wrestling talk. The #1 women's wrestling talk. The #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.